I, Ibrahim Fryer, declare that Africa will no longer be a playground for foreign powers. Our freedom is not for sale, and we will defend it with full strength. On a calm Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., the city of Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, woke up to something unusual. Military trucks drove through the streets toward a plain office building on the east side of the city. Soldiers got out, their boots hitting the ground with purpose. Without speaking, they entered the building, moving fast and organized. Inside, they found piles of documents, computer hard drives, and encrypted phones, all tools of a secret operation. Outside, the sign showed the name of a normal-looking telecommunications company. To the public, it seemed harmless. But it wasn't. The government of Burkina Faso, led by a strong leader named Traore, had learned the truth. This company was secretly working for Israel, collecting sensitive information about the region. This was not a random raid. It was the first step in a carefully planned mission. By 11 a.m., Traore's forces had shut down 6 more companies across the country, all linked to Israel. Their networks were frozen, their offices locked, and their secrets taken. There were no loud speeches, no public warnings, just fast, decisive action. Traore was not only cleaning up. He was sending a direct message to Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader of Israel. This was the beginning of a major change, one that could break the grip of foreign influence in Africa. For years, Israel had quietly built influence across Africa. On the surface, it looked like they were offering defense contracts, technology, and economic aid. But many of these deals had hidden strings. They gave Israel access to valuable information, Africa's resources, political plans, and even migration data. Some companies, like the one in Ouagadougou, were covers for intelligence work, sending private information back to Israel without anyone knowing. Traore had been watching for a long time. He knew these deals weren't about helping Africa, they were about control. Under Netanyahu's leadership, Israel had created a shadow system to monitor and influence African countries. Traore decided it had to stop. And when he acted, he did it without holding back. At 2 p.m. the same Tuesday, Traore stood before reporters and cameras. He spoke calmly, but his words were strong. Africa is not your blind spot anymore, he said. Those words weren't just for enemies or neighbors, they were aimed straight at Benjamin Netanyahu. Traore then announced every defense and surveillance contract with Israel was cancelled. Any group linked to foreign intelligence had to leave immediately. Diplomats suspected of spying were told to pack and go by the next morning. Soon, pictures spread online, empty offices, boxed-up computers, soldiers escorting staff out, and trucks loaded with encrypted equipment. Traore didn't ask for permission. He didn't give warnings. He simply acted, and the world noticed. The impact spread quickly. By the end of the day, Mali stopped importing Israeli military technology. Guinea paused its joint cyber projects with Israel. Niger began investigating its foreign-backed infrastructure deals for secret spying operations. In just 3 days, 3 countries had joined Burkina Faso's stand. It was like a wave moving across the region, and more countries were ready to follow. In Israel, the news caused shock and panic. Netanyahu called an emergency meeting with his top advisors. Reports leaked to the Israeli media described panic inside government offices. Advisors were scrambling to figure out what to do. One reportedly told Netanyahu, "This isn't just about Burkina Faso anymore. He's building a wall against us." They were right. Traore's moves weren't just about closing a few companies. He was creating a new model for how African countries could protect themselves from outside control. This was part of a larger plan Traore called the counterintelligence doctrine. In simple terms, it was a set of rules to keep foreign powers from controlling Africa. It had 3 main points. Total transparency. Any foreign company or government working in Africa had to be completely open about their activities. No more secret contracts or hidden motives. Zero tolerance. If a group was caught spying or hiding information, they would be expelled immediately. No second chances. Working together, African nations would share information and cooperate to track foreign activities. Together, they could block outside powers from taking control. Troy's plan wasn't just about Israel, it was about protecting Africa from any country trying to exploit it. He wanted Africans to control their own land, resources, and future. His doctrine was a roadmap for true independence. For decades, powerful nations like Israel, the United States, and European countries had made deals with African governments, deals that often came with hidden strings. They wanted access to Africa's gold, oil, and diamonds. They wanted to track African leaders and even cause disputes between countries to keep them weak. Troy spoke openly about this. You funded our divisions. You mapped our minerals. You called us unstable when we refused your chains, he said. He accused foreign powers of pretending to help while actually stealing from Africa. For years, African leaders had been pressured to stay quiet, sign secret agreements, and accept unfair terms. Those deals usually benefited outsiders more than Africans. Troy refused to continue that cycle. In Burkina Faso, people celebrated. Crowds gathered outside the presidential compound, cheering instead of protesting. Young people waved banners reading, "Africa is not for sale," and "No more shadows." For too long, foreign powers had made deals in secret, keeping the public in the dark. Troy made everything public, showing that Africa could say no and mean it. The celebrations were more than pride, they were about hope. Many Africans felt their countries had been under outside control for too long. Troy's actions gave them power and a voice. People began to talk about real freedom, not just from old colonial powers, but also from new ones using modern tools to control Africa. In Israel, Netanyahu was furious but trapped. He couldn't send troops to Burkina Faso without causing a global crisis. He couldn't send diplomats either, they were being expelled. His usual allies, like the United States and European powers, offered no real help. The US made a vague call for dialogue, France stayed silent, and the European Union said nothing. They all knew Troy wasn't alone. He represented a growing African movement against foreign control. Inside Israel, analysts grew concerned about what they called the Troy Doctrine. They saw it as a strategy other African leaders might follow. Israel made billions selling weapons, surveillance systems, and technology to African nations. Deals that also gave them access to valuable intelligence, such as mineral maps and migration patterns. If Troy's plan spread, it could cut Israel off from those profits and that influence. For Netanyahu, this was not a small issue. It was a direct threat to Israel's long-term reach in Africa. It was a potential disaster for Israel. Troy's actions didn't just inspire a few countries, they started a movement. Reports came out that 6 West African nations were working together to make a shared list of foreign companies involved in spying or political interference. Israeli companies were at the top. Regional security agencies began sharing information with each other, creating a system to track foreign activities without outside help. For the first time, African countries were building a united security network to protect themselves. Even the African Union, representing 54 countries, was preparing a resolution to back Troy's ideas. It would call on all African nations to fight secret foreign operations and take control of their own resources. Troy hadn't just started a crackdown, he had sparked a revolution in how Africa deals with the world. What happened in Burkina Faso was bigger than one leader or one nation. It was about changing how the world sees Africa. For centuries, Africa has been treated as a place to take from. Colonial powers once carved up the continent, ignoring the people and cultures already here. Even after independence, many African nations were still controlled by outsiders through money, weapons, and secret deals. Troy's actions proved Africa doesn't have to accept this anymore. By exposing Israel's network and kicking them out, he sent a message to every powerful country: Africa is watching, and Africa is ready to act. The Troy Doctrine isn't just about stopping spies, it's about giving African countries the tools to stand up, refuse unfair deals, and control their own future. Of course, this won't be easy. Countries like Israel and the United States have deep pockets and strong influence. They won't give up access to Africa without a fight. Israel could cut off aid or technology. Others might use economic pressure. Some African leaders might resist the change, afraid to lose the benefits of foreign deals. But Traore has the people on his side. Across Burkina Faso and beyond, citizens are rallying behind him. They see a leader unafraid to challenge the old ways. His actions have inspired young people, activists, and even other leaders to rethink Africa's role in the world. If more countries join him, Africa could form a united front that foreign powers can't ignore. This isn't just about Burkina Faso or Israel, it's about every African nation tired of being treated like a pawn. It's about every citizen who wants their voice to count. Mali, Guinea, and Niger are only the beginning. More countries could join, creating a wave of change that reshapes the continent. Traore's stand against Netanyahu has sent shock waves around the globe. It's proof that Africa can work together, protect its sovereignty, and demand respect. But this is just the start. Will other leaders follow? Will the Traore doctrine become a model for all of Africa? And how will powerful countries try to stop it? If you think this matters, share the story. This isn't just politics, it's a continent standing up, refusing silence, and demanding to be heard.